We do have a write-in question today. After much badgering for write-ins, you guys can always do this. You can always comment on Facebook or YouTube. You can tweet at us. That's fine. Our friend Devin Ostrander texted this one in. I'm not going to give my phone number out so you guys can do that. Those of you that know me, feel free to text it in.
Right, or me, or Jimmy.
And she said she'd appreciate a breakdown of the Bastard versus Bastard Army next week, which the title of next week's episode is called
Battle of the Bastards.
Battle of the Bastards,
Yeah.
Which is Jon Snow versus Ramsay Snow, Ramsay Bolton now.
Yeah.
That title is straight out of Celebrity Death.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, they just don't, they give fucks anymore about their titles. They're just like, yeah, sounds good.
Is it known approximately how many soldiers each side has? Advantages and disadvantages, and she finishes with, like, at this point, I'm not quite sure just how screwed Jon and his army are. The short answer is pretty screwed.
Yeah, they're screwed.
If the Knights of the Vale don't show up.
Right, yeah. So we're expecting the Knights of the Vale to show up. We're expecting maybe Brienne to have, not maybe an army with her, but at least have an impact on the fight, because she's going to show up eventually, maybe. But it could be not in time, who knows? That's beside the point.
Brienne has a pretty solid reputation of showing up about half an episode too late to nearly every fight she's a party to.
Yeah. The only time where she's actually been there on time would have been when she saved Sansa and Theon. Anyway. So yeah, they're screwed. They don't have, they have like.
They had about it was about 3-1, I think, the last
Yeah.
count that they gave, which would have been 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, so it was like I think they have 2,000 wildlings.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
And right around 1,000 fighting men.
Right. So it's 62 from
Yeah.
Mormonts.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah. So
not a lot.
it was 2,000 wildlings that were ready to fight right now.
Right.
And then right around 1,000 mixed northern forces. That would include the few people he took from the wall, and then the northern levies that they managed to scatter.
Yep.
Against, I think they said Ramsay's 12,000, which would be that's 4 to 1. It's 4 to 1.
It's 4 to 1. Not good odds.
Although historically, those odds have been overcome several different times using those same types of weapons.
And Jon mentions that in the trailer.
Yeah.
So he says, people have overcome these odds before, and Sansa says, you don't know Ramsay.
Yeah. What I do know is that while Ramsay's a devious bastard, that I'm not sure he knows that much about strategy and tactics. Like,
Well, he knew enough to take down Stannis' army.
but it's said several different times that they were ill-prepared for winter, that they set bad sentries, and all they really did was burn down their food train.
Right. But that was a strategy.
Yeah, but they let
devised
winter
by-
beat him as much as
Right, but that was
the
just-
army did.
yeah, that was just a strategy that Ramsay relied on. That we're going to like he said, no, let's not go out and bring our
Yes.
forces out. Let's wait for the winter to defeat.
And
them.
he's not doing that this time.
Great, he can't.
He's facing. Jon Snow is the son of a lord. He would have trained as a commander, also as a fighter,
Right.
before he went to the Watch. He studied under Qhorin Halfhand and
Absolutely, he's a better
Lord
leader.
Commander Mormont.
Right.
So he's a better commander. Tormund Giantsbane was second in command to Mance Rayder.
Right.
He commanded a tribe of his own and is now de facto commander of the Wildlings. He might be one of the 4 best generals in the 7 kingdoms.
Correct. I would agree.
That
with
is not an insignificant advantage before you take into the effect that they have a fucking giant
correct. They have won.
who has been hilariously effective in every single fight he's been in.
Yeah.
He was completely immune to the army of White Walkers that came.
Yep.
He didn't even care.
Yeah.
He was just like, there was a scene of him walking into the sea with them like crawling on him, and he was just
like,
throwing them away,
yeah.
and it just like peeling them off. They were gnats to him, literally.
Yeah.
So unless Ramsay has like a secret giant plan, I'm not going to say he's going to balance 1,000 men or something,
Right.
but it's going to be a significant, and I hate that I'm talking this seriously about it, but it's going to be like a significant strategic disadvantage for him to have to concentrate so many of his forces onto one entity.
Right. I get that. But it's still not enough to overcome that 4 to 1. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, unless they fight on a hill, there's
Right.
always the Agincourt thing.
Sure.
On the minus side, it does look like, according to the preview, Ramsay has most of the archers.
Yeah.
In which case, if we're looking at like the way that you would shoot a battle like that, the way that it seems that Jon Snow's forces would win is if the Knights of the Vale plow into them from behind with their heavy cavalry.
Yeah, they've got to come in from the side, from behind.
Yeah.
They've got to attack that way.
It's a Helm's Deep scenario.
Yes,
It is.
1,000%.
For the Lord of the Rings fans out
Yeah,
there.
it's
yeah.
1000%
Although there's
Helm's
no
Deep scenario.
fort
Yeah.
for
Right.
for the outnumbered forces
Right.
of good to
Yeah,
hide
the
behind.
outnumbered forces of good are actually coming to the fort,
Right.
technically.
Yeah.
It's very intense.
Yeah.
So, but it would be so much more satisfying because it is believable that that the forces of Jon Snow could win that battle.
Sure.
And it's so much more satisfying if that happens without Littlefinger's help.
Yes.
And I get that because of the need to set Sansa up as a narrative equal to Jon,
Yeah.
that she has to secure the help of the Knights of the Vale. That narratively needs to happen.
Yeah,
And-
well, it needs to happen for that reason. It also needs to narratively happen because Jon needs to know that she's not trusting him with this.
Yeah.
That's got to come to fruition at some point.
Yeah, there needs to be more between Sansa and Jon,
Right.
and the Knights of the Vale have to facilitate that.
Yep.
So I get it. It is good storytelling. It's tight storytelling. I get the necessity of it. It makes next week's episode pretty predictable, I think.
Yeah.
I'd actually, and I hate to say this, I'd be surprised if Ramsay even dies.
Yeah. I would be surprised if he dies too. At least now. I'm sure he will eventually.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I don't think he'll make it to the end of the show. I don't think he'll be one of the guys
Right.
in the Return of the Jedi dancing Ewok scene at
Sure,
the end.
okay.
Like
Yeah.
quick shot to Ramsay Bolton being like, "Oh, remember when I was weird? Like
Yeah.
cutting people's penises off and stuff,
Yeah.
sending them to their parents."
That disqualifies as weird?
Yeah, yeah. It's Game of Thrones, man.
Yeah,
The guy that we talked about, Tormund Giantsbane, who's like our favorite good guy right now, screamed at a little boy that he ate his dad 3 seasons ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So things get flipped on their head quite a bit in this
little
show.
bit.
The next
Yeah.
episode, that kid got to the Night's Watch and was like, "Someone ate my dad," and they were like, "Well, they do that." Like,
No, we go, man.
Okay.
like
Hey, it
no
happens.
sympathy. They were like, "You can hold a bow, right? Get up on the wall."
I mean, that seems appropriate.
Yeah.
You know.
So, did you want to make any other predictions for next week?
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
it just going to be in the
for-
north?
Well, yeah. I think this episode is just.
It's Blackwater.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Blackwater. Yeah. Exactly. It's just there.
Even Hardhome, there were like 3 cutaways in Hardhome, right?
Yeah, there were.
Like, okay. So we even had a full bottle episode since Blackwater, right?
Yeah. But I think that this one, they have to, because they have, like, Jon and Sansa haven't even, and their armies haven't even approached Winterfell yet.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. It's just curious, narratively, it does make sense because, spoiler alert, we know that the last episode of the season is A, called Winds of Winter, and it's B, 69 minutes long.
Right.
So it's the longest episode they've ever produced.
Yep.
It's, that'd be like 12 or 13 minutes longer than a normal episode.
Yeah.
So they have 3 point of views more time than normal to work with in
Sure.
that episode.
Yep.
So they can do a lot of tying up loose ends for that last episode.
Correct.
That they normally couldn't do. So they can afford time-wise to make this just about Jon and Sansa.
Yeah.
And still give them 2 shots in the last episode.
To wrap everything up, correct. Assuming they do well. Just the thing that, spoiler warning, I guess, but there was a release of partial description for this coming episode, which was that I didn't read the full one, I just read the first line, and I was like, I have to stop. But there's going to be a surrender, and that there's going to be a victory or defeat or something. Like so someone's going to surrender, whether it's Marine
Oh, okay.
or it's Jon or
Okay.
it's Ramsay.
Yeah,
Someone's
and
going
that
to
could be
surrender.
an issue of Game of Thrones, because I feel like they love doing this, thumbing their nose a little bit to the lurkers on the internet that
Yeah.
read episode descriptions by putting that a surrender could be in there. It just could be Marine,
Right.
and not anything to do with the Battle of the Bastards. It could
Correct.
be a 2-minute clip that's just thrown in there
Yep.
to salivate you for next week.
Yep.
Oh, I like that. Good. I think that's good to close on.
Yeah.
Are we going to see the Hound this coming week? Do you
I don't
think?
think we will.
Oh, then we'll catch
sorry.
up with him next week then.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us on Media Reload's Digital Playground.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. We'll see you guys next time, and check us out. We have E3 Talk coming up on the same channel on the same week here.